There are many lessons that you learn, I guess, along the way in being leadership, working with many different people, and being on both sides of the table. One of my most incredible learning experiences started a number of years ago when I was at a school, and I was in a position where we were working with vendors, we were working with partners, and I had somebody who came to me, seemed very genuine, very interested in getting to learn about me, not just pitching their product or their service. I opened the door, and when things switched and I was on the other side, it's amazing how the tables turn. Hi, I'm Rustam Irani. Welcome back to another episode of ROI University. I'm a former higher ed marketer, CMO, as well as recovering engineer. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you a little bit about building trust and, really just doing some of the basics as you move in your career about treating others like you'd like to be treated and not forgetting kind of your positions over the year, the roles you had, and, who's on the other side. Are they genuine? Are they not? And so there are some lessons I learned in this experience. Basically, this person had an agency. They were working at a marketing company. They had a lot of sites that they had potential students that looked like good fits for us, for our school. And so I decided after multiple times of him seemed like he was getting to know me, building a relationship. I said, yeah, let's figure out a way to work together. And at that time, we were kind of pushing back on these types of opportunities, but I felt there was a genuine connection there. I felt like he was genuinely interested in working together and doing something and building a relationship. So I opened the door, we worked together. Of course, not always what it seemed. The quality of the traffic, the inquiries, the students' leads that we received, they were just not very high intent or really the type of student that we were looking for. They may have been good fits for other schools, which was a bit of my concern. But again, because we had built a little bit of a relationship and trust, I thought he got to know about a little bit about us, what we were looking for. And I opened those doors and I trusted that A, he cared, and B, he understood what we were looking for. Of course, that didn't happen. I wasn't upset. We just kind of broke off the contract. We decided we're not going to be using that service or that product anymore. And things were great. That's fine. We kind of went our ways and really didn't keep in touch much. I'd say probably 4 or 5 years later, here I am on the other side of the table now, where actually I was working at an agency and a marketing company. And I was believing in our product. I thought we had a great product. We had a couple sites as well that I thought could be, great opportunities for schools looking for certain types of students. So I had reached back out to him. First, I sent him an email, no response. And then I sent a couple follow-up LinkedIn connections because we were actually years ago, we had connected through LinkedIn and kept in touch. No response. And then finally, the third response that came to me, and it said, if this is trying to get me to buy something, I'm not interested. I don't want to be sold. And quite frankly, I'm not interested in anything right now. That was pretty much the extent of the response that I got back from somebody years later that I was never in touch with, through those years. And the last time we worked together, I had opened those doors for him. So that was honestly shocking to me. And it just got me thinking a little bit more about who you're building your relationships with, how you're doing that, and is it a genuine relationship? Are people going to truly want to help you when there's nothing in it for them, right? So I've kind of come up with 5, basically lessons or things I look out for, in the future when I'm building these relationships and working with others. And especially now, having a marketing agency or and company, you know, I believe in reciprocity and givers gain and all of those things. And I can tell you, over the years, I've recruited multiple people for positions, haven't got paid a penny for it. There's lots of other ways that I've helped others just because I'm grateful to be able to do so. And if I can find any opportunity to do that, I do it. On LinkedIn, I support every job opening that's out there because if I can do one little part and somebody sees that post, that's huge, right? For me. Anyways, the first thing is like not every relationship is genuine as it appears, right? This is definitely a hard position to learn, especially in your career as you take on leadership roles. You're going to figure that out, that sometimes you're going to be disappointed. People are going to seem very genuine. They're going to seem like they truly care. And then as soon as there's nothing in it for them, they disappear. So, really, character isn't revealed when someone needs something from you. It's really revealed when they no longer need something. So keep that in mind that, not every relationship is going to be as it appears. Protect your generosity and don't lose it. Like I've been, this is something I think about a lot. I try to give as much as possible. I'm trying to put others ahead and, it's a strength, but I think, you also need to use some level of wisdom. I've been on multiple calls, especially early in my business career when I started the company years ago, where I would jump on calls and I would just blurt out every thought, every strategy, and to the point where, like, you know, it was basically an hour of pretty detailed, free consulting. I didn't mind because I truly felt like there was maybe an opportunity there, or if they got benefit out of it, great. And, who knows what would happen, in the future. But if I had that knowledge and I could help somebody, great. The interesting thing is a lot of those times when I did that, silence afterwards. So somebody got what they wanted out of the conversation. They got what they wanted out of out of the discussion, and nothing. Right? I would follow up with emails. Hey, any questions on anything I sent? Love to kind of get back in touch. And literally silence. And honestly, I didn't realize some of the terms that were out there for this, but ghosting is definitely one of them that I learned. I guess a little later in my career. So I guess in that I would say don't stop helping people just because a few people took advantage of you or your kindness. Just become more thoughtful about where you're investing your time. That's something that I'm thinking about a lot. Third, do your due diligence before building trust. Just try to get to know a little bit about people, look at their backgrounds, look at what they're posting, know how somebody's kind of treating other people, look at some of the interactions and so on. All of that's out there, and it's all out there. It's all on social, it's all on LinkedIn, it's all in your network as well. Like if you know other people who are there. Research, right? It's not just for vendors, it's also for relationships. So do your due diligence and do your research in your relationships. The fourth thing I would say is I try to go deep and not wide. Initially, when I was starting out on LinkedIn, and even in my early years as I was kind of moving up, into management and leadership roles, I was just trying to meet everybody, get to know everybody, and build trust everybody. And one thing I realized was like that's great, but when you go really wide like that, you tend to not really get to know people and not really have that true strength of a relationship. And I've come back to kind of really understand like the strongest network isn't the biggest one, right? It's the one that would still answer questions or calls if there was nothing else involved. I can tell you, I have a number of those relationships now. If I text them, they'll text me back, usually within an hour or two, or that day at least, where they'll just kind of either give me feedback or give me some, give me some advice or share a link or whatever it is. But like literally, they'll get back to me. And when you can build those types of relationships, that's when there's nothing in it, right, for either party. You're just really caring and building that deep relationship with somebody where, they will drop things to kind of help you. Lastly, I'll say that marketing, it works the same way relationships do, right? Trust compounds, so even in your marketing, like we tell this to our clients as well, and we also think about it like, how can you continue to build trust in your community, in your network, with your prospective students, building your professional relationship, and that a lot of that's done with consistency, authenticity, and at the end of the day, genuine care, more than any type of sales pitch. But like all of those things are really what matters. You know, Great marketing doesn't just begin with a campaign, it begins with the kind of person. I truly believe it begins with the kind of person and organization, people want to trust. And so at the end of the day, the 5 lessons, at least on my end, that I've learned over the years, in my trust test, is recognize transactional relationships as much as you can, protect your generosity, discern who owns your trust, invest deeply in the right people, and apply those principles to literally your marketing every day, internally and externally. That's all for this episode of ROI University, where the big ROI is personal.